So I see you guys have some questions.
Nailed it.
Hey guys, my name is Blake. I make videos about DIY projects for beginners, and I've been getting a lot of comments lately on my floating shelves video and wanted to answer some of your questions. If you haven't seen the video, I encourage you to go watch it before this one, since it'll make a lot more sense. In the video, I go over how to install my simple floating shelves using only 4 screws. A few of you asked if it would be possible to place the screws underneath the board rather than on top to avoid filling the holes with the wooden dowel. I then commented back to some of you and said that it would not be possible because the shelf would sag in the front. But since I got so many comments on it, I figured I would test it again. So, I grabbed a small board and made sure to use the same screws I did in the video. The only difference being that the holes were now on the bottom rather than the top. And to my surprise, it seemed to work. I didn't quite understand this because I tested it in the past and the shelf was far from level. So then I started thinking it must have been the width of the board I used in the original video. I then tried a wider board and the results were the exact same. The top shelf seems a little bit wobbly, but I think it's just because I need to screw it in more. Based off these 2 tests, I would say you can in fact install the screws underneath and avoid using the dowel if you choose to do so. The only thing that's going to concern me now is how much weight they can hold, which brings me to my next test. For this test, I decided to hang a 2" by 8" board on the wall using the same 4-screw method I did in the original video. Again, the only difference being is that the screws were on the bottom rather than the top. I wasn't sure how much it was going to be able to hold, so I started out with a 5-gallon bucket of paint. And it seemed like that wasn't going to be an issue, so I felt confident enough that I could probably stand on it. And that seemed to be just fine too. So to answer your question, yes, you can install the screws underneath. So shout out to those of you that thought of that. The next question isn't really a question, it's more of a concern, but I wanted to show the shelves what they look like after being installed for a little over 7 months. So here's what they look like right now. As you can see, my wife is still using them in her salon, and this is a typical amount of weight she has on them all day and all night. So I feel like it's safe to say that they do not loosen up after 2 months. But I'm glad you guys are thinking that way, because you're starting to think like a DIYer. The next question you guys have been asking is how to install these shelves on a concrete wall. And no, the original wall that I put the floating shelves on is not concrete. This wall is actually made from 2x6 boards going vertical up the wall, and they are spaced evenly every 16 inches. I then have a 1/2-inch layer of drywall which gets screwed to those boards. So far in all my videos, all of my floating shelves have been screwed to these vertical boards. If you guys want to install these shelves in concrete or cinder block, then the only difference you need to make is to change the screws. If I were to do it, I would recommend using these blue concrete screws. They are about 3 inches long, which is the same as the other wood screws. So if you're interested, I'll leave a link down in the description. And if enough of you are interested, I will make a video about installing these in a concrete wall. Just make sure you nail that like button down below. The next question I get asked is what do I do if the wall or the board isn't straight and there's a gap behind the board? I actually have this issue in my bathroom where the wall is not square. The easiest solution I can think of is just adding a small bead of caulk behind the board. You can even still paint this to the color of your wall to help it blend in. The caulk I'm using is just the cheapest thing I could find at my local hardware store, and I actually really like it. The next question I get asked all the time is what do I do if I want to remove the shelf? If you messed up when putting the wooden dowel in or just want to move the shelf to a different location, I found it easiest to take a small screw and screw it into the top of the wooden dowel. By doing this, you create a small handle that you can wiggle back and forth and pull on to remove the dowel. Well, if any of these tips helped you out, then congratulations, you nailed it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, please consider sharing with your friends and family. That's all I have for you guys today. I'll talk to you guys later.